Okay.
Okay. Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are helpful to parents all around the world, and they are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not able to attend this meeting live can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Irene. And thank you, Jorina, for being here. I will read your very, very short bio. I mean, it's obviously one of the most important things to know about Jorina is that she's also a shining light sibling, which is important for all of us. Jorina is currently the program director for the Trauma Recovery Project at the HeartMath Institute. As a pediatric neurologist and stroke specialist at Stanford Children's Health, she worked with many grieving families in the hospital setting. She left Stanford 3 years ago to work with the HeartMath Institute and created a trauma course to help educate health practitioners about trauma-sensitive, heart-focused care. She is also a mother of 2 young boys and shares her own personal story of having a sibling pass to cancer. And so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jorina Elbers. Thanks for being here, Jorina.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth and Irene, for having me here. And I'm very, very pleased to meet you and to see you all. I was thinking about how to go about this, this talk today. And I could go into HeartMath and talking about all the things that, that HeartMath is and why, what brought me to HeartMath. But I think I'd like to start with just a personal story, and so you can get to know me a little bit. And then we'll have some questions at the end. And I'd also really like to share some experience with the techniques, with the HeartMath techniques during this call, so that parents can leave with some tools, things that can help to connect you to your own heart and raise your own vibrational frequency. And that can help just with all the alignment with soul, body, and spirit. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I am the sibling of a brother who passed. I was in the womb when he passed. And I think that the biggest part that's affected me was learning about this experience through my mother and through my parents. And what I learned really most impacted my mother, other than the loss and the passing of my brother, was the feeling of being alone. And so that was something that I carried with me, and I think often, I was watching some of the calls that you guys have been doing, and I think, gosh, if my mom had that opportunity to meet with other parents and talk about things in the positive way that you all see things, it would have made such a huge difference. So I think that you all have an amazing gift in this group. And so I'm honored. I'm honored to be with you today and share all of the things that that have led me to where I am. I am also a medical doctor, so I'm a scientist. I do research, and I'm also spiritual. So my father was very much into reincarnation and spiritual journeys, and so I kind of, wore both of these hats as I was growing up. And I think that's really helped frame my own view of life and the afterlife, and the energy that it runs through us, and how we're just part of this larger universal force, and then how we connect to that. And I think that one of the most important ways that we can connect to that is through the heart. And I'm just going to move a couple things here around. I'd like to talk a little bit about HeartMath, because I know that this has been something that many of you have been interested in, or some of you may already be, familiar with HeartMath, and some of you may not. And HeartMath started about 30 years ago, and it's stationed up in Boulder Creek, California. It's about half an hour from where I live. And it really started from an acknowledgement that the world was going to be going through a massive shift in this pressure that we're all feeling. So much is going on with COVID, with, this cultural division that we have, and our own personal struggles and our own personal journeys, which just sometimes feels so heavy. And HeartMath was really started to help people connect to the heart, to help us move through and up and out from this place where there's so much separation and conflict. And that's ultimately how it started. And it began with a group of people who were trying to work together and trying to love and trying to work with compassion and empathy. And how do we connect to the heart? And why is it important? And the science behind the heart connection, because that's one thing that a lot of people, they want to know the evidence. And that was one thing that HeartMath wanted to bring to the world, was what evidence do we have of what happens when we're in compassion, when we're in a state of care. And it's not really so much about like being in love all the time and I just love everybody. It's really about the heart qualities, which are gratitude and appreciation and care and tolerance, acceptance, and that these emotions actually shift our whole physiology. And that was one of the things that drew me to HeartMath, because as a scientist, as someone, as a medical practitioner, as a neurologist, it was really important for me that there was something that I could see that made me sort of reassure me that there was something actually really happening. And I think a lot of people like that aspect of HeartMath. And so that was one of the things that drew me, and I got involved a number of years ago. I was working at Stanford, and I was seeing a lot of patients and families with a lot of stress and a lot of trauma. And there's really not a lot to offer people other than antidepressants. And this is kind of where the medical system is going, is, you sort of write the script for antidepressant or migraine, anti-migraine medications, and our body is really storing in all of these feelings and emotions. And how do we, how can we help people without just passing them a prescription? And so I started working with HeartMath as a physician and helping my patients with HeartMath to help with some of the stress and the trauma that they were experiencing. And I really saw amazing results with it. And then because, I started going off in a different direction, and medicine is kind of here and I was kind of here, I didn't end up staying at Stanford, and then I started working at HeartMath instead and developing a trauma-sensitive course for them. And so I think one of the things that I really started to understand is when we're stressed or when we have grief or trauma, that we can separate. We can separate from the people around us. We can separate from ourselves. And there is a stress response that happens in the body. We go into a physiological state of activation, of hyperarousal, where we're on edge all the time, or we're keyed up all the time, or we're hypervigilant, or we can go into a collapse response. And when we do that, our whole physiology changes: the heart rate, the blood pressure, our brain, and our emotional system is all involved in this. And there's really there's a heart, brain, body, spirit connection that, and I don't have to tell you all that, but the medical system, has a hard time with that. The medical system likes to, this is the mind and this is the body, and they're kind of two separate pieces. But this is really how I work. And a lot of the stress ends up in the body, and we can't manage the body symptoms without involving, our emotional system. And so when we connect to the heart, and when we use, there's lots of different ways to connect to the heart, but HeartMath has specifically designed tools to connect to the heart. And we have a very important nerve that runs from the heart to the brain. It's called the vagus nerve. And it's running both directions. And we often think that the brain is sort of running the show in our body, and it's sending all the information down into our body. But this very important vagus nerve, which also connects to the emotional centers in the brain, it connects to our digestive system, it connects to the heart, to the lungs. And a lot of this information is actually informing the brain about what's happening down in the body. And so when we connect into the heart and we slow down the breathing and we slow down the heart rhythm, we activate this very important nerve, the vagus nerve. And it helps to calm the body. It helps to calm our emotions. It brings our sort of rational thinking brain back online, which is one of the things that happens when we're stressed, is that frontal lobe, that part of the brain that's organizing and thinking clearly, kind of goes offline. So when we call it coherence, when we bring the heart into coherence through the breathing and through our attention, and we calm the emotional centers of the brain, we can have more emotional balance. We are able to bring this thinking part of our brain back online so we can think more clearly. And we have greater alignment with the body, mind, and spirit. And that was one of the things that I think it is one thing to have the physiology of HeartMath and the science behind HeartMath, which helps, with stress management. It helps to, bring in emotional balance and more clear thinking. But the vibrational shift that happens when we connect to the heart through a heart quality and we go into coherence, it raises our vibrational pitch. and it creates this alignment to spirit. And, you know, I was watching Stacy Cripps, her video. And as a scientist, I was like, how is she doing this? Like, how is this even possible? And I really, you know, I don't know for sure, but when I start thinking about how we can shift our vibrational frequency with connecting to the heart, it's kind of like a wormhole to the spirit. And our whole energy can shift when we bring on a heart quality such as gratitude or appreciation or care. And I'd like to bring us through a couple of techniques. And I'd like you to just notice after we do the techniques, how you feel. And what's really fantastic about these is you don't need half an hour or an hour to meditate. You don't need to, you know, have a bathtub and be able, you know, have an hour to sit in it. You can do this in the car. You can do this when you're doing housework. You can do this when you're having a conversation with someone. You don't have to stop what you're doing. And you don't have to do it for long periods of time. You can actually shift your vibrational frequency in a matter of, you know, minutes, half a minute, using these techniques. And when you do that, and when you raise your vibrational pitch, you have this greater access to your intuition, greater access to synchronicities and things happening, that there's just greater ease, things you're in the right place at the right time. And there's a little less struggle. It's not easy. Life is never easy, but there's a little less struggle, and you find that things do have a little bit more ease with them. So I'd love to just start us off with a heart-focused breathing. And maybe what we'll do is I'll teach you the technique. We can do it together. And I'll stop there, and maybe we can have a couple of questions because I don't want to talk too long. And then once we've sort of ended those questions, then we can go into a second technique. And I can teach you the quick coherence technique. And then we can have another set of questions. Does that sound okay, Elizabeth?
That's perfect. That would be wonderful. And I'm so excited to have people understand that there is a science behind spirituality, as Teva is saying. Obviously what you're saying resonates so much with all of us, and with all of us as shining light parents, to be able to have a better way of connecting with our kids through this vibration that is obviously, we all need to be able to raise our vibration. And I just feel like I'm constantly working on raising my vibration, making sure that I feel happy. And the reason that I'm doing so is to be able to connect with both of my kids in spirit. And so I'm excited that you have some techniques to help parents know a little bit better how to do this. So we will look forward to hearing what you're going to have to say. And thank you.
Great. So, so the first technique is very simple. You know, we all breathe. And one of the first things that happens when we're stressed or when we feel under pressure is we actually hold our breath. You might notice that you hold your breath, or that we breathe really shallow, you know, this very, very shallow breath. And so a lot of people might talk, there's many, many different ways of breathing. And what we do with HeartMath is really to activate the heart frequency, the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is, you know, it's the seat of emotion. It's the place of love for ourselves and for others. And we know that the more attention we pay to something, the more it will manifest. So I think it's really important that we activate the heart. You can do belly breathing, and you can do square breathing, and you can do all these breathing techniques to help with stress. But when you activate the heart, it is a very different quality to the breathing. So what I'll do is I'll just leave you really quickly through it. And like I said, you can do this anytime. But the first step is paying attention. So I kind of liken it to like turning on the radio, right? We want to pay attention, we want to turn on the radio. And so we focus our attention in the area of the heart. And some people like to place their hand there. Sometimes I'll place my hand there and one hand on my belly. For some people, you know, the heart is also a place where we can store, you know, grief and painful emotions. So for some people, it's too much to put your hand on the heart, but it can act as a point of focus if you're comfortable with it. So you can play around with that. And as you turn on that radio, you imagine your breath flowing in and out through the area of the heart. And so there's a little bit of an imagination in there, almost like a ray of light moving in and out through the body as you're breathing, through the area of the heart or the chest. And we'll do that for a minute or so. And I'd love to just hear how people experience that and how they feel afterwards. Okay, so just can kind of get comfortable. Notice, you know, if your feet are on the floor, notice your seat on the chair, notice just being here. And you're just going to give yourself this gift for a moment. Focus your attention in the area of the heart. And imagine your breath just flowing in and out through the heart or chest area. Breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. And if you notice your mind wandering, just bring your attention back to the heart, back to the breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and return to the call. And as you start coming back, just notice you're back in the room. Sometimes you can really go in really deep, and sometimes it can just be what you need to calm that, you know, that stress, those thoughts, right? All the talk, all the chatter. It's really the slowing down that helps us shift gears into this new vibrational frequency, which we'll move into with the second technique, quick coherence. And so this is something for me personally that I do a lot. I'll do it if I'm in conversation with someone. I'll do it on driving at a traffic light. If I'm, in a rush, it just helps to slow me down a little bit and connect into my body instead of being up here all the time. So I'd love to hear a little bit on the chat how that experience was for people.
Well, I would love to have Teva. She's on here and she actually works a lot with these techniques. Maybe if you'd like to talk a little bit about your experience with HeartMath and with this technique, Teva, that would be wonderful. Would you like to say something?
Well, I don't know. My experience hasn't been directly with HeartMath, which is why I'm on the call tonight. I'm so excited to learn about it, but it's been with the science of spirituality, basically, like what we were saying. And the fact that we can heal the neuroplasticity of the brain, and that we can heal our trauma through things like what we're learning here tonight. So I don't have anything profound to add other than that, like what she said, like when I'm driving, I definitely do like that breath work just to calm myself down, but I can't really put my hand on my heart all the time. But I do feel, and Mary Burton, I see, just made a comment. In Mary's class, a lot of what she talks about is putting your hand on your heart and your other hand on your abdomen and putting a smile on your face while you do that breath work. So it's just everything that Jorina is talking about resonates just perfectly with what I've been learning, and I'm so appreciative that she's here, and I don't want to take up any more of her time.
Well, thank you so much, Teva. And I agree. I mean, I teach yoga. So every single time that I teach, we have our right hand on our belly, our left hand on our heart. And we're thinking about everything that we're grateful for as we're doing the breath work. And that's before and after every time that we practice yoga. So I think that all of these different techniques are so aligned, and it's wonderful. I would love to have Anna talk a little bit, because it's funny, we were on another meeting and she was talking about HeartMath. And so it would be wonderful to have her talk a little bit. Thank you, Teva, about her experience with HeartMath. Let's see. Would you like to say something, Anna? She's one of our affiliate leaders as well. Teva is as well, different groups, but Anna is helping parents heal en español, and Teva is helping parents heal connecting with our loved ones. So Anna, can you say hi?
Yes. Hi, everyone. This is one presentation that I definitely didn't want to miss. I did learn about HeartMath Institute and how intelligent our heart is. It's the first organ that is formed and the last to end the cycle of life. It also has a magnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. And it's amazing how, like you had mentioned, when we are in a stage of coherence, how healing that can be in many situations of our daily life and daily routine. It's just a HeartMath Institute and its techniques. And I just can't wait to do the next practice for coherence. And it's just simply amazing how new developments are coming within science and how that is being reflected with HeartMath Institute, the intelligence. And it's just not the intelligence, but this is investigations, our right investigation of pulling every part and piece of the heart and how it demonstrates to be such an intelligence that it used to be like a myth, think with your heart and don't think with your heart, but with your brain. And it turns out to be that sometimes we should, not sometimes, but we should be led by our heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That's beautiful. And I agree. I think that it's just wonderful that you realized in your career that you weren't able to help families the way that you wanted to with the tools that were available, and that you needed better tools to be able to help people heal their hearts, which is exactly what we are trying to do with helping parents heal. We are doing. It's something that I feel so grateful that being able to know that our kids are happy, healthy, and whole is something that is healing parents as well. So anyway, second practice, yes, we're excited about it. So people are saying that they felt calm and peaceful. Go ahead, Jorina.
Okay, great. Yeah, some great comments there. And I could talk about HeartMath and the science behind HeartMath for a very long time. There's a lot of research behind it. As was mentioned, we have an energetic field that is an electromagnetic field that's generated by the heart that is, it's detectable by these electromagnetometers, the best that we have at the moment, up to 3 feet away from the body. Whereas the brain, we can't detect it. When we look at an EEG, the electroencephalogram, we can pick up the heart, the electrical field of the heart, but we don't pick up the electrical field of the brain and the heart. So the heart is the major player electromagnetically in the body. And so when we have a particular emotional state, it shifts our heart rhythm patterns. And we've done this, these studies to prove this. And so what happens when we're in a state of frustration or anger or resentment or shame, our heart rhythm patterns, so we look at heart rate variability. So our heart doesn't just stay at 80 beats per minute, forever. We move from 82 to 96, down to 79, up to 110, down to, whatever. And we move through our heart rhythms throughout our day, throughout the hour, throughout the minute. And it shifts, every few seconds, our heart rate will change according to the energetic demands of the moment. And so when we look at this heart rate variability pattern over time, when we're in these depleting emotional states, the heart rhythm pattern looks jagged. It's sort of up and down and up and down and up and down. And we can look at this through a pulse oximeter, something very simple. It connects to the ear, and you can connect it we have an app on the phone called the Inner Balance. And you can see, when you're in coherence, that means the heart rhythm is all jagged. It is not in sync with the body. It's sort of doing its own thing. When we generate an emotion, a regenerative emotional state, like gratitude, appreciation, care, our heart rhythm pattern changes. And this is what's so fascinating scientifically, is we go from this jagged heart rhythm pattern to a sine wave like this. It's a smooth sine wave pattern. And this is one of the things that's shifting this electromagnetic field around us. And you can feel how someone's emotional state when you walk into a room. If you're sensitive to that vibration, that's what's being emitted by the heart. And that's what's happening with this vibrational state that we can raise that vibrational frequency to one of empathy, care, appreciation, gratitude. And our heart becomes this sine wave, and it's what we call coherence. And this is bringing in alignment with that frontal lobe, with the part of our brain that provides us mental clarity. It helps us make better decisions. It helps us see things more clearly. It brings this emotional balance to the limbic brain, the part of the brain that's controlling our emotional center. And it brings us that emotional, that peacefulness that we're sensing. And it's also connecting to that intuitive channel, to that vibration of these higher dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth, the sixth dimensional spaces, is through these emotional states. So the next technique that we can use is called quick coherence. And again, you don't need an hour for it. You don't need, to get in. I mean, it's helpful to be in a quiet space, especially early on when you're practicing. But, one of the things that we are working, very hard at creating harmony in our family. And so if we have a disagreement, one of the things that we'll do is we'll take a coherence break, my husband and I. And so we'll take a break. We'll say, stop. Let's get connected to our heart, because we all know that when we're, in conflict, that frontal lobe checks out, we're offline, we say things we don't mean, we do things, we regret later. And that's this sort of, again, our behavior, our physiology is all involved when we're in that stress response. So let's take a break. Let's take a coherence break. Let's connect into the heart. Let's slow down. So that's what we do. We do heart-focused breathing. So I'll lead you through this again. The first step is connecting to the heart. We're turning on the radio. Okay, we're paying attention to the heart. And we're slowing down the breathing. We're slowing down our breath, our heart rhythm. So our heart rate might drop a little bit as we start to calm the system with the heart-focused breathing. And then we'll bring in, what's really important is to experience through every cell in your body, through your whole, it's a real imaginative, like bringing whole into your system, a regenerative feeling like calm or gratitude or appreciation. So you may choose to bring in the feeling of, your child, if that brings you those feelings. But sometimes it's also better to bring in something that may not that doesn't have some depleting emotions connected to it. So it could be a pet. It could be a place that you love. It could be an accomplishment or something that makes you feel really good. So thinking about, the top 3 things that you can sort of pull at to bring your whole system into this sort of regenerative, sometimes we call it like a positive feeling, not to say that the other feelings are negative, but they're more depleting. But bringing us into this real different vibration, which is care, compassion, gratitude, and just soaking all of the cells in that feeling. And that's really, so it's not really a mind thing, it's really bringing it into the body. And sitting in that and soaking in that, and that's what raises your vibration. And we know, we can see it right on the heart rhythm pattern, the HRV pattern in this coherent heart rhythm. And when we do that, we also, like I mentioned, we have this clear access to intuition. So sometimes there's another HeartMath technique, I can go into it later if we want, called the freeze frame, where we have a decision that we need to make or a problem that we need to solve. And so what we'll do is we'll bring the whole system into coherence using the quick coherence technique. And then we ask the heart, what's the most efficient way to solve this problem? And you listen. And we know that the heart has a soft, quiet voice. I have a little story about that afterwards, but our mind is so loud and it can be so full of chatter and so, overpowering. And the heart is really, you have to be still to listen to it. And so that's what we're doing with the quick coherence technique, is we're creating stillness, we're using the breath, we're bringing our attention to the heart, turned on the radio, and then we're going to bring in that frequency, that heart frequency of care, appreciation, gratitude. And if you like, you can listen and hear, maybe there's something there for you. Maybe there's a message there for you. And there may not be, sometimes just soaking in that feeling, but that's where we really have a strong connection to that intuitive guidance system. And that's where the magic is. And really making sure this isn't about being happy all the time. It's not being, in love. I don't love everybody. Like, that's not, it's really a gratitude, it's care, it's appreciation. These kinds of frequencies are just as strong to open up those channels for intuitive guidance. So should we give it a try? Yes, great. So we'll just take this moment, this gift of peacefulness for this moment. Just notice your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair, and then bring your attention to the area of the heart, the chest area. You can place your hand there if that's comfortable for you or not. And imagine your breath is flowing in and out through the heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Now make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as care, compassion, or gratitude for someone or something in your life. And if you notice your mind wandering, just gently bring your attention back to the heart. When you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the call. And, you know, just a reminder that this doesn't have to take a long time. You don't have to, you know, it's helpful for a couple of minutes, you know, 3 minutes to 5 minutes is a good amount of time. If you know, you can do it for shorter, but if you can do it for 3 minutes, that really just helps to bring your body into that coherent state and opening things up for you. And I'm curious what people's experiences of that.
Well, I'm excited to see what people have to say as well. But in the meantime, I just wanted to ask you a question. You said that your father, who obviously is a shining light parent, who I guess has passed, is that correct?
No, he's still living.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that you said he used to be. I'm wondering though, you say that he's really interested in reincarnation. Is that, do you think, because of the fact that he's experienced the passing of a child? And has he talked to you about his spirituality? And obviously you are spiritual because of this, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, my father, he is actually, I think someone referred to him as a bhakti. So he's into yoga and the Eastern religions, yoga, and he has a guru. So he's been searching since he was a teenager. So this wasn't the result of my brother's passing, but he didn't talk to me about any significant spiritual experiences that he had related to my brother. I think he really shut down a lot when my brother passed. And like I said, I think he probably would have, you know, he would have benefited so much from something like this. So, you know, everyone is so, what a gift.
I just want to say that I am so impressed with everything that you've done. And I want everyone on here to understand that I truly believe that when shining light siblings, when they understand the pain that their parents are going through, many times they become these incredible healers that are helping all of us to move through this grief and to move forward. So in spite of the fact that I know that a lot of people think that this is something that could actually destroy their children to have their sibling pass, I know that for my two girls, it's made them incredible young women. And I think that that's what happened for you as well. In spite of the fact that it happened before you were ever born, knowing that you wanted to grow up to be able to help others, to avoid the pain that your parents had experienced, is something that I think has helped you in your own path. And it's actually so beautiful. There are a lot of different people saying things in the chat box, though, about the practice that you just did. So Mary's saying, beautiful practice. Teresa's saying, peaceful. Kelly's saying, I actually felt myself smile as my gratitude for my grandchild. I guess that she was feeling the gratitude. Anna is saying, I love this practice. Tava is saying, I felt warmth, peace, and that sort of oxytocin Releasing love, deep and profound. That's wonderful. Lisa's saying, gave me a huge smile. Thinking of my gratitude. So oxytocin, I'm sorry, not toxin. That's not at all the same thing. But anyway, yeah, I think everybody was enjoying it. It looks like you're trying to motion. Are you wanting to say something more about that, or?
Well, I think, it is one of those things, the more you do it and the more practice you have at it. So if you start your morning with it, if you end your day with it, if you're noticing that you're feeling down, there's a choice. And sometimes we do want to feel down. Sometimes, I don't want to feel better. And there's times when I do. And there's a choice point there where you can choose to use one of these techniques to help you feel better. And knowing that when you do that, it raises your vibrational pitch. And it has a direct effect on your body. It changes your heart, changes your breathing, your digestive system, the vagus nerve connecting to the brain. Your brain comes back online. You're able to think more clearly. And then you have that intuitive guidance system that's right there. And you just make better choices, and you have greater access to these other, dimensions where you have your larger, where you're more connected to spirit. So, I mean, there's no reason not to do it. I also did, if we have a few minutes, there is, if anybody is wanting to learn more about the science, about the practices, we have a free mini course called the HeartMath Experience. It's online. You can search under HeartMath Experience. And I was wondering if I could show the trailer for it, just to give people a sense. And it is free, so it's a 90-minute course, and it's split up into chunks. And you learn the heart-focused breathing technique, the quick coherence technique. You learn freeze frame, which is what I mentioned before, how to make decisions with your intuitive guidance system. So there's a number of other techniques within that mini course as well.
That would be wonderful if you want.
Unless there's a question or something that somebody would like to ask or have discussion about, I can show the trailer.
Does anyone have a question before Jorina shows the trailer? And we're happy to address it. Roseanne is asking if you teach this to children.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I teach it to my patients. Interestingly, my patients take it a little, it's easier for them than my kids. My kids are like, Mom, come on. No. But one of the things that was really striking to me, one of my sons has a lot of anxiety and OCD, sort of obsessive compulsive thoughts. He worries a lot. And one of his big worries was that I was going to die. And that might be, especially after a passing, might be an experience for some of you. If you have young children, they may worry that you are going to die. And so my son would just worry, where are you going? When are you going to be back? Are you going to die? And we sort of identified that, these are the mind. These are loud voices. We talked about what are those voices like? He's like, it's screaming at me. It's so loud. And I'm like, that's right. That's the mind. And I said, can you check in on the heart? And I led him through a quick coherence. And I said, can you hear your heart? And what does your heart say about me dying? And he got really still inside. This is my 10-year-old. He was 9 at the time. He got really still. I led him through the quick coherence. And I said, can you hear your heart? And he said, well, I still hear this really, really loud that you're going to die. I said, I know. I said, that's your mind. Can you hear your heart? And he listened. He's like, yeah, And I was like, what does it sound like? And he said, it's really quiet. It's really quiet and soft. And I said, what does it say? And he said, it said that you're not going to die. And I mean, I couldn't convince him. I couldn't. He needed to get that answer from inside his heart through this alignment. And that solved it. Like, and we've been dealing with this every night at bedtime. Are you going to die? Are you going to die? Are you going out? Are you going to die? And like, literally, it just went away. Oh. So it's really powerful. And yes, use it with children. Yes, use it with adults. There is a caveat to the heart, because it is a place where it seeds so much emotion. It is very powerful. And so when we created the trauma-sensitive HeartMath training, it was really important to let practitioners know that when you do go to the heart, sometimes it's too much. Sometimes placing the hand on the heart is too much. And so we're really allowing people to be in the place wherever you're at, and that's okay if it's too hard. Some people can only touch in for a brief moment, and then they need to go out again. And so we teach practitioners to help people titrate, focusing on the tree outside and then focusing on the heart just for, 5 seconds, and then go out again to the tree and then back in again. So understanding that the heart is a powerful place, and sometimes is too, because it stores so much emotion, is too painful to go there right away. So really having sensitivity around that as well, that it can be a lot.
So I know that you teach to practitioners. Do you personally teach to regular people like us, or is that something that you could tell us? Obviously, this trailer that you're going to be showing us, there are people who do this at the HeartMath Institute, but would it be someone that is similar to you with the same kind of background?
Yeah, there are many different types of people who teach HeartMath. So we have coaches and mentors. So we have a HeartMath directory, and you can search for a coach mentor to assist in teaching these HeartMath techniques. If you have health problems, you can find a practitioner who does, particular types of medicine, functional medicine or osteopathy, or physicians even who work with HeartMath. So you can look on the directory. If you're interested in getting trained, there's also certification programs. So you can become a coach mentor or a practitioner if you have a practitioner's background. So there's lots of different opportunities. The HeartMath experience is for, anybody who would like to learn it for themselves. And then the certifications are if you'd like to teach other people. And then if you're looking for a coach, then you can just go online and look on the directory for a coach. And with the Zoom these days, you can really find somebody who, they don't even have to be in your area.
Wonderful. So we do have actually a little, where it's time right now, but we have enough time. I think it's only a few minutes. Is that
correct? It's very short.
Okay, so let's just try it and watch your trailer. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you feel me? This is a story about your life and about new ways to see that we are all connected.
Just like the electricity changed the outer world, heart's going to change the inner world.
We can take charge of how we feel more than we may think.
It allows me to be present, centered, and focused.
I just find that deeper place in myself where I can feel that sense of love.
And as more people come together, it's going to draw in a whole new awareness.
But the heart really is an access point to our larger self that can bring in that intelligence of another dimension. So now we're starting to have a scientific understanding that these higher quality emotions that people have always associated with the heart really do affect the way the heart beats and the quality of the neural signals being sent to the brain, which it then interprets.
Heart and brain are in constant communication. The heart is doing most of the talking. Let's do an exercise now to get a better sense of how you're experiencing emotions that renew or drain you.
Okay. I'd like you to think of a specific situation that you feel has been difficult to solve these past few days.
In this experience, through learning simple techniques, seeing real-life examples, and hearing from experts and others, you will have the opportunity to experience your heart's intelligence and how it can help you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll see how you can connect with your heart in practical ways to reduce the stress of daily life, meet challenges with more ease, and become more of who you truly are.
You'll learn to listen to and follow the magnificent, intuitive presence of your heart.
It's heart time on the planet.
That was really interesting. I was just responding to Anna. I think this is beautiful. She's saying that her granddaughter is 5 and her mommy transitioned her daughter, and she's been trying to teach her to listen to her heart so that she can connect with her mom. So she's thanking you. And again, it's all about love, which is beautiful, as Robin is saying. And we truly appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Jorina. And we always ask everyone to unmute and say thank you and goodbye. So if all of you have been able to unmute, please unmute and say goodbye. We'd love to say goodbye to you and thank you. I truly appreciate it. We'll have this up on YouTube in case you are interested in looking at more information. If you do have more information, we can put it on the YouTube itself, Jorina. So
Okay, great.
maybe some.
Thank you.
Like that.
Yes, thank you. It was a great night.
Thank you so much.
Sign up for the free course.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you very
Jorina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.